Now, on to our next story. We are talking about Mkurugenzi Abel Mutua, telling us about the instances in his life that he has cried in front of his wife. And he says very confidently he can only recount 2 instances where his wife has seen him shed a tear. Which brings the question, is it toxic masculinity to not cry in front of your partner? Or is it just the fact that men are supposed to be stoic? And I feel like this is where also females, us, babes, we play into it, because if you ask a lot of babes, they'll say, I'll get the ick if I see a man crying. But there's also another section of women who say, no, I want to see his vulnerable side. I want, for him to be in touch with his feelings. But for you, if you saw your man crying, what would you do? Would you be like, Sautadu? It's quite a difficult position to be in. And he says, number 1, the first instance where his wife saw him shed a tear, he says it was at their wedding when he saw her walking down the aisle. Not because he was overly emotional because of the beauty and radiance of his wife, with the fact that he was about to get a wife, but simply because he recalled how his mother was not there to see him get married, and that was such a profound moment for him. She had not enjoyed his Tahidi High money. And like in that moment, everything hits you. She'll probably never see the grandchildren and everything. So that really brought him to tears. And number 2 was when he lost his mother. So he says because of these 2 instances, obviously, he has been brought to tears, and Judy has been there to witness it, and he does not feel about it. His only problem when it comes to crying in front of people is the fact that he has the ugliest of cry faces. Yeah. He says his is horrible. There's nothing demure about the way he cries. And because of this, he has actually destroyed the footage from their wedding, because he said nobody shall ever see it. He destroyed the only copy. Because even him, he felt like, sometimes when you keep something, a devil whispers into your ear, maybe show people one day. He said he destroyed it. Nobody has a copy. You will never ever see him cry on the internet. So, they have an event coming up soon. Do you guys want to show up and just make Mkurugenzi cry, just for vibes, That's the question out there. I'm going to put it out for you guys out there.
Air in the universe, wow. That question is a good question. The question of, are you okay seeing your man cry, is such a good question. I think it depends on the context. I think it depends on the situation. Like, there are things you would be okay with, like, seeing your man cry about in at events which are gut-wrenchingly tear-jerking, right? I remember trying to convince my husband that as he sees me walking down the aisle, he needs to cry. And even now, when you see the wedding video, he's pretending to cry. But the funny thing is, he actually did cry during the vows, like actual tears. And I was like, it was such a beautiful thing to see. And I've never seen him cry ever again. I have never seen him cry before that. It was so cute, because for me, it's just the thing of, I want to see joy, tearful joy, joyful tears, for lack of better words. However, I'm imagining you're just chilling and watching a Telemundo or a movie, and this person just bursts out crying. Yeah, no. It's just not, we can't both be crying. One of us has to save the dignity of the other. So I think it's a very situational situation in that particular case. However, Abel Mutua, surely you're trying to tell me that you couldn't have chopped that part out. Like, you have all the editors in the world working for you, okay? Why not just chop that part out and then get rid of the original footage? I mean, the whole video, the whole thing, what are you going to show yourselves when you're like 60 and old and gray and you're like, oh, do you remember how beautiful we were? Do you remember? Like, what are you, it's, I think maybe editing. Yeah? It is the age of AI and extreme Da Vinci skills. You could have done this, Anyway, it is quite interesting. And yeah, Turi does make a really good point. Can you make him cry during one of his events? Specifically the one that's coming up.